ready to talk about some CPUs. But one thing we've noticed straight away, so we're going to start off this stream with the #1 best-selling CPU right now, and that is the Ryzen 7 5800X3D. So this one's launched itself to #1 position. I believe the last time I checked this a few days ago, the Ryzen 7 5700X was in that spot. So basically, I think people have seen the reviews. These numbers will tell you basically a lot of people saw the reviews from last night and started buying the Ryzen 7 5800X3D, which is a great move. I mean, this CPU is coming in under half price of the 7950X3D. Now, the 7950X3D is in such a weird spot that my review, I mean, if you guys saw my review, I was basically saying this CPU is just such a weird CPU where the 8 cores and 16 threads that you want, that's for the game, like that's what the gamers want. You're paying $699 for that. So it was kind of in a really weird spot where I just think you'd want to wait, even if you want that latest and greatest gaming performance from AMD, you would want to wait for the 7800X3D. But let's take a look at another reason why, which I didn't mention in yesterday's video. I'm going to bring out the full-fledged review soon. I just wanted to double check all my numbers after I get a retail bias, as well as going through this process. Now, when we got these CPUs sent in, there was this whole basically this whole process that you had to do with the 7950X3D. Sorry, the naming's getting confusing because you got Ryzen 7 5800X3D, you got a 7950X3D, you've got all these different model numbers coming out. So I'm just going to call it the Ryzen 9 X3D. I think that's the easiest way to call it because there's only one of them out at the moment. Well, there's two of them out, but they're basically the same thing. They're going to come into similar issues if this is real, right? So we've got here run Win version to get the latest. So you got to make sure you got the latest version of Windows. You have to then verify game modes on. You have to update the Xbox Game Bar, install the AMD chipset drivers, restart your machine, verify the provisioning files there, verify the AMD 3D cache, performance optimizers there. I mean, look at the list of things that you have to, like, this was in the reviews guide to make sure your CPU was running right. And it's like, is the average person really going to want to do all this just to get their latest and greatest CPU up and running? It should just be put the CPU in the motherboard, turn your computer on with your graphics card and everything's ready, lock in your XMP profiles, and you're running your games. That should be like the #1 thing that these manufacturers strive for, where I was just noticing this was just a big, like, okay, something's going on here. Now, another thing is too, because if you don't have this scheduler, if you don't have this CPU set up right, what is going to happen with the X3D is it's going to essentially run like a slower, Ryzen 9 7950X, so non-X3D model. It's going to run slower because the clocks are lower versus the retail, the initial 6-core there. So that's what's going to happen. And so anyway, I just hope, and this is the thing, like with the BIOSes, right? If someone goes out and buys an X670 motherboard, are they going to they're going to have to update their BIOS? That's one thing they're going to have to make sure they do. So people are saying in chat, they released a new retail driver today, if I'm not mistaken. So again, yeah, you have to install that as well, right? So if you're on an Nvidia card, you got to make sure you get your chipset drivers installed. But another thing is too, would you have to make sure you're on the latest version of Windows too? So there's all these things that it's like, it should be definitely streamlined for the simplicity of things. Now, here's the thing that I've already tested. You don't have to do any of that if your CPU is just the 8 cores, 16 threads with the 3D cache on board. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to make sure you got these drivers installed. That thing works when I simulated the 8 cores, 16 threads, which got the numbers here. You got to do the video and it takes long to edit the graphs and make the numbers and the comparisons. But basically, the 7950X3D can come into issues if it's not set up properly, but you don't come into those issues on the 7800X3D, nor do you come into those issues on the Ryzen 7 5800X3D. So that's also a big plus. If you're if you're building your first PC, for example, I would much rather go for the 8-core models from AMD than the 16-core model too, even if you've got like unlimited amounts of cache. All pun intended. I wonder if you will have unlimited amounts of cache. That's a funny one. So anyway, that was the first thing. Now the next thing is the numbers that are coming out. I found that they were pretty similar. Like I was testing an i9 13900K versus the 7950X3D versus the Ryzen 7 5800X3D. And like I think the biggest difference I saw was Fortnite. But according to AMD's own numbers, right? This was AMD's own numbers. When they had a 7900 XTX in the system, it was scoring 5.6% higher than the 13900K. That was with the 7950 X3D. Now, when it was with the RTX 4090, it was only 6%. So they weren't showing a massive difference, but I'm seeing some reviews out there where there's some big differences. Like for instance, I think I looked at Tom's Hardware and they were showing like on F1 2021, like look at this gap. You would think that the 7950 X3D is another tier of CPU according to those results. But then you go over to Hot Hardware, for example, and they've got the F1 2021 results and the 13900K and the 7950 X3D are pretty much neck and neck. So I'm kind of like, these are the same. This is the same game. Then you go over to AnandTech and you go over to Tech Power Up and stuff, and they've got an even smaller difference than what AMD was showing in their 5.6%. They've got 2% over a 13900K. So there's a lot of conflicting numbers out there. For me personally, when I'm doing the numbers here, the games where they trade blows, the FPS is so high anyway that it's kind of irrelevant. But if you want that pretty smooth experience, I would go for the 5800 X3D. And I think the market's already doing that with this CPU moving to number one. So it's such a weird time for CPUs now. And this was something I wanted to talk about with you guys and get your opinions on this too, where all these CPUs coming out now are just getting ridiculous FPS. I mean, I was just watching a few other video reviews as well, and I think Optimum Tech got like 1000 FPS on Valorant. And I'm thinking at this stage, 1000 FPS, like who's going to notice the difference between 500 and 1000? You don't even have the monitors to support this kind of FPS. And even with the input latency, you're getting to the stage where you want to, if you're on an online tournament, for example, you might want to find out where the servers are at and go move next door to those servers to get the best pings. Like that's going to be better than trying to get, say, 500 FPS up to 1000 FPS to be competitive at the said game. So we're at this stage now where the CPU FPS, for me personally, I feel like it's come so far now where it's kind of becoming irrelevant. And I mean, AMD obviously they want their CPUs to sell and they want them to do well, but it's just bizarre. I find this whole situation now bizarre when all these benchmarks I'm seeing is just FPS that is just ridiculously high. And I was actually looking over, like say for instance, I was looking over some of these other results and it's like, there's nothing wrong. Like if you look at a 5800X or even a 5700X, getting over 200 FPS, like on these are pretty relevant titles. They're pretty demanding, and all these CPUs are just getting phenomenal FPS, like whichever CPU you look at. So it's kind of like we're not in the days anymore of 2017, where I remember in 2017 when we were reviewing these CPUs, there was a big difference. Like it was kind of, we were at this stage where FPS might have been, say, 80 FPS or 100 FPS, and then a CPU comes out and it's getting 130 FPS, and you're like, whoa, that's a huge gain, and it's noticeable if you've got a 144 hertz monitor. But now we're at this stage where it's like, well, all these numbers are 200 FPS, 300 FPS, 400 FPS, 500 FPS. So, and I'm still seeing people in comments like arguing over who's got the victory, and it's like, guys, there's much better things to do in life than worry about which publicly listed company wants to take your money and which you should hand over your money to. So they both don't care. Spoiler alert. They both don't care about you. So that's a little bit of a spoiler there for you guys. But ultimately, when I was going through these reviews, I wanted to talk about some of the positives, however, with the 7950 X3D. This time around, they definitely got the power consumption right. I really liked how with the Ryzen Master, you booted this CPU up. It was using around 140 watts, which for a 16-core, 32-thread was absolutely fine. And some of the pros here, this was a pretty decent list of pros and cons, even though this last one here, this is from PC Mag. I kind of don't know why they tested the iGPU performance and left out the 5600G, for example. Like they were testing iGPU performance here, and it was just like, where's the actual dedicated like APUs? And that was kind of surprising. So here it was here, and there was like, there's no 5600G. So I was kind of surprised that was an iGPU test without the big daddy there. But the other pros here were actually pretty well good. Like I liked it, yeah. So you got a lot of not just level 3 cache, but you got a lot of cache on these new Ryzen 7000 series chips. And the X3D obviously gives you a lot more cache in the level 3 department. But the gaming performance was really good, and the energy efficiency. So they did improve a lot over their original 7950X. When they released that, I don't know what AMD was thinking there. They were going with this whole 7950X, 230 watts, let's copy Intel, let's try and get the best of the best on those benchmark scores, and they just left power efficiency and thermals out the window. And this is where they've kind of come back to that, and they've said, okay, we're going to release this chip, 140 watts. And the best thing is when you locked in the eco mode, it worked extremely well. So mini ITX lovers who want to get a 16-core, 32-thread CPU are going to love that too. So they've done a good job on the power profiles. I was hearing people were having problems with temperatures, and that's something I'll look into more. I was testing with the Arctic 420 mil. Now I've got a video coming out on that water cooler, and that's amazing. So that thing could handle the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D absolutely fine. But keep in mind, I am in winter, but when I do my testing, I do have my heater on. So that shouldn't make too much of a difference versus people who are in, say, slightly hotter climates or whatnot at the moment. So I thought it was funny that people were having problems with temperatures, but I'd like to know what coolers they're using in their reviews. But then we get on to cons here, and it's like, these are pretty much the cons I was having, bar the heat issues. I wasn't having heat issues, but I was actually watching back a few reviews and people were having heat issues. So that's interesting. I mean, again, maybe my advice would be just to, if you're getting a 7950X 3D, go grab the Arctic cooling solution. You guys recommended to me in the comments, and I got one, and it's actually really good. So when that video drops, you're going to see how much the Arctic Freezer 2 is better than the rest in terms of cooling. But yeah, I mean, there might be heat issues for, especially if you're on air cooling, for example, that might be a relevant thing. But the relative pricing, I mean, $700 for the 16-core 32-thread is where this thing gets tricky, right? So analyzing the price of this CPU, this is where I thought it was so weird, because the gamers only want the gaming performance. And I would say, yeah, the price is high considering if you're into productivity and you're getting this for the 16 cores, 32 threads, I don't think you're going to care about that FPS. Like, you're not in a, you're getting this thing to do work. And with the 7950X, you can tune that so much better. It takes a couple of minutes, but you can bring down the power consumption and the temperatures and have much better productivity performance still than the X3D. Well, I shouldn't say much better, but still better. So I'm kind of confused. This is a really weird one from AMD in its relative pricing. So that's a good con that they've listed here. And then the lower performance in CPU-specific tests than the cheaper counterparts. We already went through that. But then the other cons that we were talking about is this right here, is if people have to do all this stuff, which I'm going to look into for you guys. I'm actually going to do a dedicated video and do some different installs on maybe Windows 10, Windows 11, and just out of the box, try running games and see what happens. I'll install the chipset drivers, but I'm just going to install Windows chipset drivers and then run some games and see if there's a problem. Because if there is, that's going to be a big sort of detriment for people who want to get at least the 16 core, which I don't feel those issues will be on the 8 core when that releases. So interesting sort of CPU drop here, but I just think the market is speaking here, and they're going out, everyone's just going out and buying the 5800X 3D, which I think in my review, I just said go get that or the 13600K if you're really concerned about gaming, because those two CPUs are currently like the best in slot kind of CPUs really for relevant gaming. And after that, I mean, if you need more FPS than that, you've got to be like the world's best pros. But even then, the world's best pros will play competitively on this and on the 13600K. So Interesting CPU, guys. Do let us know in chat. We'll go over to chat soon, but I just wanted to make a little bit of a video following up with some of the concerns and problems that I was sort of coming into while I was testing the CPU, because initially I did test out the 7950X 3D and the performance was similar to the 7950X. It was actually a little bit lower. And then I had to install the chipset drivers and change everything over, and it was, okay, so there's something else going on here. So that's one thing to be concerned about, but other than that, it's a really, I don't know, this CPU launch just feels so different for me this time around. Like, I'm kind of like, I felt like I could get angry for not releasing the 7800X 3D, but then I realized, well, the 5800X 3D is actually, the 5800X 3D is actually a really good price. So I think AMD's in a situation where they're competing against themselves now. And that's what we've been talking about this almost every second live stream. People think that pricing can just get out of control and these companies can charge whatever they like. And I guess we'll go over to a new segment now. But this is what I'm going to have a little bit of an interlude here. And we'll interlude on the stream and say that at the end of the day, the only way these companies can sort of front run pricing and just keep charging higher pricing is if money becomes worth less and less, money itself, and that's inflation. Other than that, if you've got sound money in an economy, or things are getting back to at least somewhat of a state of sound money, then these companies can't charge whatever they like, despite what people think. Because as we're seeing, Nvidia's trying, and this is one thing we'll go over to now, Nvidia's trying to do this, right? They're trying to, with their new GPUs, they were trying to charge these higher prices, and the market is just not really sucking it up. Actually, I was checking. I'll show you guys right here in Japan. This is actually some very interesting insight into what is happening. And I'm going to let you guys guess in chat. What is the top selling GPU in Japan right now? What is the top selling GPU? And let me know. You can just say what series of car you think it is. Do you think a 4000 series is the top selling GPU right now? I do want to listen. I do want to see what you guys think. And actually, while we get some responses in, we'll plug today's live stream sponsor with a BF. People were actually in chat like, Brian, I come back to your videos just to get the BFTYC code and the Windows 10 Pro, which you can use for Windows 11 as well. $15 after you use that coupon code BFTYC. Go hit it up. Links in description. Even though there's a Windows 11 Pro key there, you can use Windows 10 Pro keys. They work absolutely fine. But let's have a look what you guys think is the top running GPU. They're saying 3050, 2080, 1660 Ti, 6600, 6500. Come on, guys. I don't think the Japanese are buying 6500s. I don't think they're buying those. Let's have a look. So we'll go. It's actually the RTX 3060 Ti. It's the number one. Actually, better not have moved slots. Yeah, it's gone up to number one. The RTX 3060 Ti is number one right now. And the 4070 Ti is number two, right? So the 3060 Ti is beating any 4070 Ti model being sold in Japan. Then you got Arc. Intel's pushed up to number 4 slot here. But these new cards, you can see here, price is a real thing, right? So if Nvidia and AMD and Intel want to charge more money for their products, they're going to quickly find out that the amount of buyers prepared to pay this amount of money is going to drop off very fast. And this is why price thresholds are absolutely crucial when you're, I guess, releasing any product. So yeah, the A750, people in the chat are like, A750. A750 is actually, yeah, I'm surprised as well. This thing's selling pretty well in Japan. I guess but that being said, if we look at the results here, Intel's kind of got a bit of a fanboy chart going on in Japan. Like there's actually, if you look at Japan versus America, look at the top 10 CPUs in the US, majority of them are AMD. Look at the top 10 CPUs in Japan, and it's actually kind of neck and neck, but they've still got the top 5 spots, 4 out of 5 spots. And that's when I looked at the i5 13500, I was like, okay, The Japanese, they're pretty like money. They're very value driven. I will give you that, especially when it comes to their CPU purchases. So it's no surprise to see that these three CPUs are the top three CPUs. If anything, these would be like my top three. I would say the 5800X3D would also kind of be tied depending on your priority. These three CPUs plus the 5800X3D would be my top picks right now. And then, of course, if you're on a budget, 5600, 5500, they're kind of like the best, like all the, they're basically all this, between all those CPUs and the 13600K, you've got all bases covered. You don't really need anything else. There's only like 8 SKUs that I can list that I would be bothered with. So that being said, though, you can see there is a little bit of an Intel bias in Japan. So that's why that's coming out at number 4. But it wasn't like, I wasn't surprised to see the 3060 Ti outselling the 4070 Ti even months after its launch. And this was just really funny because, again, those price thresholds, these companies have to compete with themselves now. And that's exactly what NVIDIA is doing. They're competing with their last generation 3060 Ti. So if they release either too high a price or they release too little performance, and they try and charge a high price for whatever they try and do, the market's going to tell them, well, I'm not buying this. It's that simple. Now, of course, we talked about those other conditions. We can actually pull up the Fred M2 money supply. We pull up money supply charts for you guys. You guys love talking about a bit of tech, yes-onomics. You can see here, money is like, you had that massive boost in 2020. That was just, and what we saw followed that, right? We saw a 30% boost in the M2 money supply, saw around 30% really on everything you get. I mean, if I go down the convenience store, even in Japan, before I left Japan in 2019 for a holiday, the prices, even related to the US money supply, which is scary, prices have kind of gone up in similar fashion. A little bit less in Japan. I'd say Japan's more around like maybe 20% on everything, but US definitely and Australia definitely hit around 30 to 35% price increase. That's your real inflation since 2020. So what we've got here though, if we look at the tail end of this, we've actually got a decrease now, or it's plateauing, which is interesting. It's gone up a little bit. I guess I've been hearing news of credit card debts and all that, and people using a lot of credit cards at the moment. So it looks like money supply has increased very slightly. But if this stagnates, right, all you need to do is this line is to stagnate, and that's basically sound money. So once we have sound money in an economy, we've got sound purchasing decisions. And so this is the biggest thing. Sound purchasing decisions means that AMD, Intel, and Nvidia can't pull really any shenanigans on the market. They can't do anything. They can't sell a product and try and con you and try and trick you. And people are saying, oh, why is this product? Why, you know, for instance, if we look at Nvidia market share, right? That's one of the things that always gets people. But we've explained Nvidia's market share over AMD. And it comes down to I call it the Toyota effect. People have, like, at least everyone I've interviewed at events, everyone I talk to, friends and all that, they sort of have this loyalty to NVIDIA because NVIDIA doesn't let them down. So they do pay a slight premium for NVIDIA cards over AMD cards. And that's sort of like what the market values that NVIDIA brand at because of that driver experience. But that being said, AMD do have to turn that around. They've had, especially with the 7900 XTX, they had a really sort of bad, I guess that was a bad launch, especially for the Radeon group. It was surprising to see their driver team would allow that sort of thing to happen. But when you get these decisions that come into the market, you've got people that will always vote with their wallet. So anyhow, that's that, guys. Don't worry about pricing. It's not going to, if products sit there on the shelves, and if we do a little bit of an update on the market right now, and the pricing that NVIDIA and AMD are asking for their, say for instance, NVIDIA is asking for their newer graphics cards, they have to come down. There's only one option, because otherwise they've got their production capacity, because NVIDIA and all these companies, they front order their products, and they front order a lot of them. Those orders aren't going anywhere. They have to take delivery on that silicon. So NVIDIA's in a problem where if they don't sell a certain amount of graphics cards, they have to drop the prices. And so only when the prices come down to what the market thinks is good value, then and truly then will you see good value, and people start getting sort of excited about tech. But at the moment, the GPU market, especially with the 4000 series, I haven't been too excited. And the 7900 XTX, I've actually got, I'll give you guys a quick look. Just hang on a second. So I got this one in from ASRock. So we'll pull up the big screen here. Okay. Pull up this one right here. ASRock sent over this one because they want to say, hey, this is going to do a lot better of a job than the AMD 7900 XTX, like the AMD reference model. So I'm very keen to test this one out versus the reference model for you guys, because actually someone in the channel chat just now was asking about someone in the chat was asking about the 7900 XTX and revisit that. So we are going to do a revisit on that and a re-review, and we're going to be comparing the reference model versus the ASRock right here, the unbeatable Phantom Gaming. So that'll be cool. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that one when that comes out. But we've got a $5 donation. Thank you very much, my man. The rumored 4060 Super sells for $400. I'd consider upgrading from my 30. Sorry, the chat is a little bit bumped off there. I would consider upgrading from my 3060 Ti. Okay, I would advise that too. I mean, if it's going to give out better performance, definitely. So it just depends. I'm hoping that Nvidia does bring in their 4060 with aggressive pricing, whether they want to call it a 4060 Super or a 4060 Ti. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants that 4060 cam. Sorry. I've got, actually, it's funny because I haven't been in Japan in the winter for a very long time. And right now I've got I think I've got a bit of allergies coming on. So I woke up this morning and my nose was all puffed up. So yeah, hopefully, and people have been asking about my voice and is it permanently damaged? I don't know. At this stage, I've got to go to a doctor as well about my voice and go see someone about my throat, just get it all checked out because yeah, I think if I talk for a long time, I mean, I think my voice just goes pretty quickly. So if I do videos in the morning, they're absolutely fine. But if I do videos, say after lunch, yeah, the voice just comes the way it is now. So how much body fat do you have? Okay, what's the channel's just going, the chat's just going off course here. But I guess anyway, guys, what I'm trying to say here is with the 3060 Ti being the #1 selling card in Japan right now, coming in around its MSRP, it actually might be under MSRP of that 399. If we look at 57 yen to USD, this one's coming in, okay, with taxes, this is coming in under MSRP. So it's 399. That would be coming in at around like 375, 380. So it's 380 in Japan right now. That's the base case of the 3060 Ti. So that one's coming in under MSRP. I guess for the Japanese, that's a pretty decent deal. So that's why that one's coming in much more affordable than these other models right here. So with pricing, do not fear. The longer this goes on, the longer we continue on in this debt jubilee and this weird market where things are going sideways now. So it's actually not really coming down. That's interesting to see. Like this latest development here where it's come up a little bit. That's actually surprising for me. I haven't checked the data that recently, but yeah, that's actually kind of scary if it starts to go upwards again. Like if you see my mouse here, if it starts to going out of control, that means, yeah, just go buy whatever graphics card you can get your hands on, because that's what'll happen. In the end, that's what'll happen, guys. Prices of everything will just go up. And you'll be like, why are prices going up? Well, it's because the dollar's getting worthless. We're having 2020 over again. So anyway, guys, I thought I'd talk to you guys about the 7950X3D and everything else. And we're going to move over to free chat now, where I'll just answer you guys as Q&A and let's talk. And if I missed any questions before, I do apologize. I was focusing just on getting the main chat here done. But yeah, there was that question you guys tagged us before, re-review of the 7950X Nihongo Jozu. I mean, I'm okay. My Japanese isn't too bad, Mr. Sung. It's not too bad. He's asked the question there, is my Japanese good? It's not bad. Hi, I compared to the 7700X overclocked. Is it really better to buy a 7800X3D? So if you've already got a 7700X overclocked, you don't need to go out and buy an X3D. Like, man. Guys, we were just talking about this before. Okay, so you've got here the 7700X. Even then, you may wish to, depending on the game, right? If we look at CSGO, right? If you're a CSGO player, you're just wasting your money if you get an X3D chip because the game likes higher clock speeds, doesn't really take advantage of that extra 3D cache. So I would also, if you're going to get, okay, we'll actually pull up to the big screen because there's a big emphasis on this too because I want to sort of like really like hit this one in. If you're going to buy any computer part, look at what you do personally. And so get the part that best suits you. So if you're an Apex player, right? If you're an Apex Legends player, I would go for the 5800X3D. It gave out, especially versus the 13900K and the 7950X3D, it gave out a really good experience. I really liked it in that title. So if I was an Apex player, 5800X3D, if you've got the 7700X, look at what games you play. What games are you mainly playing? Because I find with PC gamers, they're either two kinds of gamers. They're competitive multiplayer, or they just like playing a couple of games a lot, or they just keep playing the latest titles and going through all the storytelling, or they're a retro gamer. I mean, if you're a retro gamer, you're going to be playing on anything, right? You're going to be looking for maybe even a good old Xeon and getting some really good value there. But if you want to buy the 7700X, or if you've got the 7700X overclocked, don't even bother. Like, my guess is it depends on your game. Go look at the game, and if you're really competitive at it, maybe. But I'd say there's a very small chance that you'd even have to bother with the X3D for gaming only. So, and is it better to buy it? Well, it's going to be $130, $120. So, yeah. I've watched reviews of GN Hub and Brian. I'll wait for their 7800X3D coverage to see like to like. Yeah, I'd wait for the 7800X3D anyway, guys. There's absolutely no reason. So, yeah, there's absolutely no reason to get it right now. So, sorry, just a sec. Just this chat sort of, I got to pull this chat out a little bit more so it'll be hanging on the screen a little bit because. Okay, we'll get over to the small screen. Okay. Alrighty, so we got here from Yusuf. What's the go-to meal in Japan right now? Dude, in Japan, okay, so in Japan right now, there's not a go-to meal. It's like a go-to cycle. So like, you don't have it, like, for instance, you do the rounds. You'll go to Gusto, you'll go to Sukiya, you'll go down the supermarket and you'll get some like fresh bentos and fresh veggies and stuff like that. And then there's also things like other like sushi roll and hamazushi. They're kind of like the cycle, right? So and then there's the ramen place down the road. So I'm in this little spot in Japan, which it's really inexpensive to live, but the best thing is like the meals. Like you don't really have the go-to meal. You've got like the go-to cycle. And if you guys didn't know, Sukiya's like this. Sukiya's probably my favorite place in Japan for eating. It's like this place that serves up like these gyudon. So I'll show you what a gyudon is. Probably a lot of you guys who are familiar with Japan probably know what a gyudon is. It's just like this. So Sukiya will serve you up a cheese gyudon. Wait, we'll put in there the cheese gyudon. Sukiya will serve this one up for you. And then what they've got at the restaurant, oh, even old mate here, he's got the triple cheese gyudon. He's gone a bit too heavy with that thumbnail there, but he's got the triple cheese gyudon. But the cheese gyudon, you just add the ginger in there and the spices, and you can get like the salad on the side as well. And I tell you what, it tastes so good, and the value is actually really good too. So Sukiya is like my number one for Japan eating. Like if you're in Japan and you don't know what to eat, I would just go head to Sukiya. So, I mean, I'm probably going to cop some hate and people are going to be like, it's the McDonald's of Japan. It's like, yeah, but it's the good McDonald's. Like, you don't walk out of Sukiya feeling bad. You walk out feeling really good because the food's good. Anyway, 5800 X3D, is it worth it to keep it for a few more years? John, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. That X3D, the 5800 X3D is going to be so relevant for a few more years to come. So, mate, after I saw you JDM on Bare Bones, as you are proper Aussie. Okay, JDM, Japanese domestic market. JDM car parts, that's usually when you talk about JDM, but let us know what you mean there, Chatto. Rizzo, another $2 donation. Thanks you, brother. Sorry, this chat thing, my chat's like, it cuts off the donations and then it automatically snaps. So I got the chat window is going to come out a little bit on the screen here. So Rizzo, he asks, got the 3060 Ti a year ago, was a deal at $479. Yeah, I mean, that's when GPUs were kind of coming down in price. So you haven't lost a whole lot there. I mean, the 3000 series, NVIDIA's choked supply anyway, so they've made it so the prices are kind of remaining relatively high. Yeah, but that's the 3060 Ti is a great card. I mean, people are going to be like, 8 gigabytes of VRAM isn't enough, but it is. Like, just lower the settings. That's all it is. Like, if you want to play the latest and greatest games, I mean, Hogwarts looks really good on low settings, as long as you got 100% screen res. Techie City, what's your take on crypto heating up again? In case you guys aren't into crypto, it's starting to pick up steam again with DeFi. Some are going hard on Arbitrum. Still no 12,000 BTC yet. So, wait, no audio? What? There should be audio, guys. Is there no audio? Wait, what? Yeah, there's no audio? Someone said no audio? I don't think there's audio. Come on, I'm getting trolled. So what's my thoughts on BTC? On Bitcoin? I haven't even checked Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin price USD. So yeah, like since the printers have rolled off, since all the borrowing euphoria and the low interest rates have rolled off, the price of Bitcoin's rolled off as well. It has crept up a bit, but again, you're waiting for US interest rates. Again, in order for cryptocurrency to do well, I think you've got to have that cheap money environment. So the Fed have to pivot. They have to start lowering interest rates. Governments have to start handing out free money again. And once that happens, yeah, crypto will go through the moon again. But if it doesn't happen, and here's the thing, no one's got a crystal ball. If you know which way this is going, my man, do let us know in chat. I got a feeling it's going down. I feel like it's going to have a sharp contraction in the next year or so. I feel like this M2 line is going to drop off because there is so much debt, and you've only got two ways out of this. You either have a massive crash or you have massive inflation. They can't control this. They're trying. This is what they call when the Fed says they're going to have a soft landing in the economy. They're trying to control this balance right here, and they're trying to make it so only a few people go bankrupt, only a few banks go under, only a few, and business carries on as usual. I guess that's what they want to happen. But in reality, the debt is so large now that even these small incremental adjustments in policy to curb inflation or to curb borrowing, they're much bigger than they were 20 years ago because the debt per capita is also massive as well. So I would say, is Bitcoin going to go up? Well, it depends all on what money itself is doing. And if we start seeing massive amounts of inflation, Bitcoin will go up. I feel like it's the one cryptocurrency that people will go to. The other cryptocurrencies, with cryptocurrencies, I don't use them. I'm not a big believer in them. They haven't really done anything for my life at all. Actually, they have. I should say they have. When I started mining back in 2017, I had a whole series on the channel. It got me a sports car. So yeah, like that was awesome. So I was actually buying up good old Hubs graphics cards. I remember that. I was like buying up everyone's graphics cards, and I got into mining back then. And I realized it was all speculation. It was all about making money. And then the aftermath of that was really sad. And that's why I didn't get into it again, because it was the same thing. 2021, 2020, and even later in the early part of 2022, it was all the same thing as 2017. Nothing was different. It was just this euphoria of, oh, this coin's going to be worth X and 100X, pumpers and dumpers. And in the end, I saw a lot of losers after the first round went bust in 2018. When crypto went bust in 2018 and there was all those graphics cards flooding the market, I saw what it did that time around. So, yeah, that was what was happening there. So it was actually pretty sad to see. So anyway, yeah. But yeah, is it going up or down? I can't tell you. But as long as the printers stay off and as long as the easy money stays off, I don't think Bitcoin's going up. It may have a resurgence depending on different banks all over the world, but it just depends. Also, you guys asked, what does Sukiya cost? So Sukiya will do a cheese Gyudon set for around 730 yen. So you can get a set, like a meal, for $5. That's what you can get a meal for in Japan. And it's a really nice meal as well. So you're probably like, the guys in the US are probably like, what? $5 for a healthy meal? And it's all cooked up at a restaurant? It's like, yeah, man, that's the beauty of Japan right there. So that's actually one big benefit to it. So do you cook for yourself, Brian? Yeah, I do some. I rarely cook though. I'm so busy with everything else, like just YouTube and tech hustle and then life, that yeah, that's it. That's so I don't cook much, but I do love home cooked meals. They're better than eating out, of course. And Josh is in chat. What's crack-a-lackin', everyone? What is crack-a-lackin', everyone? Sorry, I'm so far behind in questions. We got a membership as well. Thank you for the eight months membership. Rhinos, YTH, Rhinos Youth. Thank you for the 8 months TYC supporter, my man. Thank you very much. And we got here, what's the 2-for-1 Tuesday type deals in Japan? Oh, okay. So when it comes to food, Yusuf's asking a lot of food questions here. Are you guys like... yeah, I guess that's where tech is going, right? The CPU, the 7950 X3D launch was so mediocre that people just want to talk about food. All right, fair enough. Let's just talk, these live streams go anywhere. Okay, so the 2-for-1 deal, I think if you're talking about pizzas, like pizzas in Australia, 2-for-1 Tuesdays, at the moment you have to sign up for an app. I think it's Domino's have the app here. You sign up for the app and you get 50% off twice. So then you can just get your friend's phone, don't tell him, and just say, hey man, I'm just going to quickly use your phone to order some pizzas. And then you burn up his 2 goes. And then you go onto the next smartphone and you just keep burning up your 2 50% off coupons. And there might be another way to do it with a VPN or something. And I don't know if you can create a new smartphone on your smartphone, but if someone has a hint for that, actually drop a comment after the live stream's done so I can like analyze that. But that's sort of like the deal. You can get 50% off on Domino's. That's if you're a value hunter. That's the 2-for-1 pizza meta here right now. Would you move from a 5950X to a 5800X3D for gaming focuses rig? Depends how good you are, Dave. If you're really good at games, man, like... Sorry, I just got allergies. Just a second. All right. So if you're really good at games, sure. But if you're like me, say for instance, you're like a decent tier player. Like I play Dota 2 Turbo pretty competitively. Sometimes if I show clips of me like getting a rampage or something, people are like, oh, what's your MMR? What's your rating? I'd like to think of myself as a decent gamer. I'd just be keeping the 5950X, dude. It's not going to make you better. Like, there is so many other things that'll make you better at gaming. For starters, cardiovascular exercise is so underrated. If you want to get better at gaming, make sure your cardio's in check, make sure you're sleeping well, make sure your focus is, all that good jazz, right? Make sure you are on top yourself before you put yourself in front of the computer. That would be like my number one recommendation for people who want to play better competitively, is make sure the man behind the mouse is better, or the woman, or whatever. So that would be my number one recommendation there. And then we got a Quake. So yeah, I wouldn't upgrade. Short answer. How much money do I need from Quaker? How much money do I need to live in Japan? Every month, it depends what you do. Like, if you're like me and you're kind of more of a hermit and you like staying indoors, dude, you can live so cheap here. You can live for like, I mean, besides your bills, you can probably live for like 10, 15 bucks a day. And that's comfortably too, like really comfortably. So Japan's extremely, at least we're around where I live. I live in Chiba. It's not in Tokyo. Tokyo can be a bit more expensive, but at least where I live in Chiba, it's really cheap. So there's that. Hopefully, yeah. Yusuf says he's hungry. Okay, well, I'm not. I had a bento at the convenience store today because I had to do my taxes. So I had to do my taxes this morning, so I was like going through it all. And I was like, I called the accountant. I'm like, yeah, I gotta get my taxes done. He's like, it's okay, I'll get them done for you. So here's Hardware Talk NZ. Remember, here's to another month, Brian. Here's to many more. Chat soon, I hope. Oh yeah, sorry, dude. Yeah, man, I had February was a rough. Thanks for the support, man. February was a rough. Hardware Talk NZ's been meaning to get us on like a live stream on his channel. We will be doing a live stream and talking about the things that they want to talk about on his channel. So we will get that cracking, dude. Thanks for the support. I'm just all over the place. You know, if you guys have followed Tech City, you'll know it's one day we're doing Intel box coolers. The next day we're looking at 7950X 3Ds. I've done all the testing too. The video will drop for this box cooler as well. That'll drop pretty soon, so stay for that. We've done all the testing there. So 12th gen versus 13th gen box coolers. There actually is a slight difference, and the 13th gen box cooler is actually not too bad if you're getting it with the 13th gen CPUs, which kind of cool, a bit different. So desperate much to feel good. Gamer today. I'd say seems like I'm reading your comments. Most boring response ever. Are these directed at me? Okay. Desperate much to feel good. Okay. Broke AS clearly. Who are you talking to, dude? Like, it's kind of like, it's pretty offensive. Yeah, it's like Joshua says you're salty. Yeah, it's like, is there any reason you're just salty in the chat, bro? Like, maybe we can talk it over and, just, I mean, hey, man, talk it out, dude. If you're salty about something, don't, like, if you're salty about something, just mention what you're salty about. Don't try and, like, change the tune and you gotta, like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, anyway, guys, yeah, like, chat should always just be like, let's get along. I mean, if there's something you're salty about, guys, just drop it in chat. We can talk about it, you know what I mean? I never call you live stream before. Cool. Welcome to the live stream, guys. $5. That's how much you can eat in Japan. TurboTax. Yeah. So basically, I've got this program called QuickBass, and it allows me to get my taxes done quickly. So the name of this program, QuickBass, actually does its job. It's actually designed for the Australian tax system as well, which is so good, and it's a desktop program. You know, with accounting, I got recommended all these cloud servers, and you know how frustrating, I don't know what it is, but I've seen all these reviews on accounting software. And actually, we'll go over to the big screen because this is a topic worth talking about. I was so frustrated because when I was looking for accounting software, I was looking for like the best accounting software, right? Came across like this cloud server, that cloud server. And when I'm doing my taxes, it's so laggy, dude. Have you ever used a cloud accounting software? It is laggy. And I'm like, I want the desktop no latency version. Can I get the desktop no latency version? And then the only program I found in Australia that's designed for the Australian tax system was QuickBass. And that thing is just like blitzingly fast. I'm like smashing the numpad on the Microsoft Ergo keyboard, getting my taxes done. And that's the way it should be. So all these cloud servers for accounting, man, I just couldn't handle. I was getting frustrated trying to smash all my numbers in and get everything done. So there's a hint, guys. If you're having frustrating times doing your accounting software, it might not be you. It might be the program or the cloud server you're using. So there's that one there. So anyway, guys. Okay. Man, these allergies have hit me just all of a sudden. I haven't had allergies for years. And now I've like, because allergies like this one is just like, your head's fine, everything's fine. But then you just got this puffed up nose, puffed up throat. And it's like, oh, goodness. I certainly don't miss having allergies. Can I keep TYC in my channel? Yeah, you can keep Tech Yes City in your channel. You want to keep me? You want to keep me, man? Where are you at, dude? You can just keep me in a treasure chest, lock me up, and take me to the Lost Zone. You guys know Pokemon? They got the Lost Zone on Pokemon. Yeah, we got the Lost Zone. Just take me to the Lost Zone. Here it is here. That's it. He just wants to take me, keep him in his channel. I'm a Pokemon now, so apparently. All right, so you guys saying, okay, it wasn't directed at me. You guys are just having a good old tiff in the chat. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'll let you guys go along. But just keep it, yeah, always stick to logic and facts, man. So if the 7950X is worth the $589 on sale price, depends what you do. So to answer that question, really just what are you using it for? What are you using the CPU for? That would be my response. But at $589, it definitely can be worth it. If you look at my 13900K versus 7950X review, they both have their purposes. The 7950X, I think, came out on top slightly in productivity over the 13900K, but even then, it depends on the application. So for instance, I use Premiere Pro, so 13900K is best in slot. That thing is just a machine. You're getting the warp stabilizers out, you're going through your timeline. It just helps. It helps with your life. And the more you save time doing that, the more time you can just enjoy yourself. So yeah, I would say it's definitely worth it for who needs it at $589. And it's a really good CPU to tune. The 7950X is the CPU that will benefit the best out of any part in the PC world from undervolting. So tax filing benchmarks when I'll just benchmark some accounting software. That'd be pretty cool, actually. Maybe you guys would like that. Omar, careful, too much salt, high blood pressure, possible hypertension. Thanks for the $5. Yeah, so you got to watch that, guys. If there's too much salt, you can get high blood pressure, and it's just like smashing the keys, and that can go to places you don't want to go to. I used to use QuickBooks. Yeah, QuickBooks was the OG, man. I have a 7950X ITS, amazing. How does it compare to the X3D in games? Yeah, dude, it's I've actually got the sheet here. I'm not going to show it yet. Got the magical sheet. So it loses in CSGO, beats it in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, beats it in Horizon Zero Dawn. So you've got 200, for instance, Horizon Zero Dawn. Let's take 1080p, CPU only FPS. 296 on the 7950X versus 336. So Cyberpunk, we saw a lift up there. I think it was 180. I gotta look at these numbers. I'd scribble in 100 up to 205. So I think it's 181 up to 205. And then CSGO, it loses. It's down to 837 from nearly 900. And then Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 391 down to 291. So yeah, it loses in gaming, but again, this is what the main thing of this live stream with the 7950X or the X3D. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 290 FPS. Like, I was going to curse, but who cannot play this game at 290 FPS? Horizon Zero Dawn, who cannot play this game at 296 FPS? CSGO, who cannot play this game at 900 FPS? Cyberpunk, who cannot play this game at 180 FPS? These numbers, like, for me, I'm a game enjoyer. I enjoy my games. I do play a little bit competitively. For me, competitive gaming, RTS, I only need 60 FPS. FPS, 120 FPS. You can get good at these FPS levels, period. So if you're really good at the game, then you're playing for money now, and you're playing for tournament money, and you're really good, yeah, go out and get an X3D. But majority of people really only need for gaming a 5600. Like, it's not, again, we've got to go back to your health. I'd be improving your health, improving your pings. Those are the most important things to get better at PC gaming, not the CPU. The CPUs are so good now, it's not making much of a difference. As opposed to, like we said before, as opposed to 5 years ago, there was actually a huge difference, right? There was some CPUs that just, like, for an i3 couldn't handle games back in 2017. It was reaching its limits on some games. 30 FPS, 40 FPS, or Rust or whatever. And then you go to the i7 and you go to the latest and greatest stuff, or the HEDT parts, and suddenly you've got this FPS boost that's real. You're going to see that. You're going to notice that, and that could help you. But have you noticed HEDT suddenly vanished? Like, there's no focus on it anymore. But and we'll get on. Actually, we can get onto that. Where's HEDT gone? Where's the high-end desktop parts gone? Also, we got from Juan, we got here Canadian $5. Thank you very much for the donation, brother. Upgraded from RX 5700 to 4070 Ti. Feeling happy and guilty. How to avoid FOMO on potentially a good purchase release later. Give counseling, please. Okay. So you're worried about, I think what you're worried about is not FOMO. You've got what's called cognitive dissonance, yeah? This is the one you got right here, my man. In the field of psychology, cognitive dissonance is the perception of contradictory information and the mental toll of it. That's the big one, the mental toll of it. Relevant items of information include a person's actions, feelings, ideas, beliefs, values, and things in the environment. The problem is when you come to Tech Yes City and you want like this kind of, I'm just going to give it to you straight, dude. I don't say you've made a great decision there. I'm going to say you've got the 4070 Ti from the RX 5700 and you're not enjoying things as much as you thought you would. That's what I'm guessing where you're coming from, one. And trust me, I went from 1080p to 4K. I remember back in 2015, I got this Acer 4K monitor and I thought it was going to make gaming so much better. And it just didn't. I was like, I went from 1080p 24 inch, I think it was, to 27 inch 4K. It was like an Acer monitor, 28 inch it might have been. And I was like, I was so unimpressed. I was like, wow, this sucks. And I knew, like, there's no point. Like, you got to talk to yourself and say, hey, wow, what, you know. So you've probably got a bit of cognitive dissonance there, and it's rightfully so. Your body's telling you, and this is the thing, it's not even like you spent this amount of money on a graphics card, but you got to learn the lesson, right? You just got to learn the lesson. Did you need that performance in the first place? So for instance, if you're playing, this is where it comes down to, I'm always about, if you need the upgrade, you're going to know you're going to need it. So for instance, if Hogwarts comes out and you've got, say, a GTX 1650 and you're getting just really stuttery, choppy performance, you can't play this game, you can't enjoy it, but you really want to play it. You played at a friend's house or whatever, or you've seen good clips of it and you really want to enjoy it and play your own storyline. This is where it's like, yeah, I need the upgrade. You're going to go out and spend it. You're going to have no cognitive dissonance because you knew what you were buying before you got it. So my counseling's sort of in the other way. I'm sort of feeding your FOMO. I'm kind of feeding your cognitive dissonance here with your 4070 Ti purchase, in that you've got it and you kind of thought, well, hey, this really didn't make gaming a whole lot better for me. And that's like the one thing to learn. One thing to learn about all this is that when you get to 1080p 120 hertz, it doesn't get a whole lot better from there. OLED 4K, and this is what I was talking about, glossy screen OLED 4K is certainly a different experience. It's like that tier up, but that costs a lot of money. That costs a lot of money to get into. And this is what I mean. A lot of these monitors are coming out 1440p. They got matte screens. Dude, I'd game on like anything that's relatively cheap, and then I'd just go for OLED, save your money. And there's that gap for me. And I've said that in a lot of monitor reviews in the past, that I feel like there's two tiers of monitors right now. There's OLED glossy screen in a dark room, which is really going to get you immersed. And then there's just your standard matte screen, high refresh rate monitor, which is going to do a great job still. But you're not going to enjoy games a whole lot more going from, say, 1440p to 4K on a matte IPS screen, right? So anyhow, hope that's the in-depth answer you were looking for. But yeah, I'm going to feed your FOMO, brother. There's that counseling for your live. And I'm just going to tell it how it is. So TechSC, do you think AMD is in a market position to pull this release schedule stunt? I was remarking to my friend that I think this 7950X 3D first thing is going to backfire on AMD. Yeah, no, like, dude, who's buying? Like, the X3D, the 7950X 3D was just a classical, like, guys, everyone's going to, like, this is actually, we'll pull up the big screen again. Why didn't AMD learn already from the 7950X launch, right? They touted these cheap motherboards in the presentation. There's going to be motherboards from $125. And then they release a $700 CPU and $250, $300 motherboards. And no one's buying this stuff. Like, literally, versus Ryzen 5000 sales start going through the roof after they release 7000. The market's already telling AMD, people are conscious more than ever. Like, it wasn't like Ryzen 3000 launch, even the Ryzen 5000 series launch. When they launched those CPUs, they had the staggered release, right? The Ryzen 5 5600X, and then they released the 5600 yonders later. And those 5600Xs were just selling out, though. Selling like, I was going to say hotcakes, but even worse. Like, they were just selling like, as soon as the burrito's straight out of the oven, people are just stealing the burrito. It was like stolen burritos, fresh burritos at a free-for-all price of nothing. And that's what I think they had that team on, and that marketing team that thought that was going to happen with Ryzen 7000 again. Didn't happen. And now they've got the same guys making the same decisions, saying Ryzen 7950X3D is going to sell well. No, people aren't going to buy it, dude. Like, people are going to buy the 7800X3D. It's plain and simple. People just don't want this CPU. So, there it is. Like, that's my opinion. Like, I just think it's stuck. It's just such a weird CPU. It's got potential problems, which I'm going to look into more, in that the average person could buy it, come into issues where they're not getting their full performance, and the 7800X3D is not going to have that because I've already tested the simulation. So it's really just it's going to sit on the shelves. And where are these? I mean, I'm still like, let's have a look. Sorry. Have to excuse me a little bit today. I'm a little bit kahunsho, they call that. Japanese for allergy. So big B650, right? Let's have a look at the B650. Where's $125 boards, AMD? Like, I'm still waiting for these $125 boards. We got $160. $160, man. That's the... Okay. That's like, where's the $125 boards, Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, if we went to AliExpress... sorry, I should have put that on the small screen. Sorry. So, yeah, we're looking at the boards. Where's the $125 boards? So, this is what's happening right now. Sorry, it's on the big screen. And, yeah, there's no $125 boards. What are we doing? Where are they? This is the whole thing. People want the cheap motherboards, man. They don't want to pay this prices for these motherboards. People want cheap motherboards. And look at AliExpress, man. I mean, if you're willing to take the gamble, I did find this is the Jingyu. Like, I actually reviewed this thing will get you into 13th gen, like i3 and the i5 13500. Like, this thing will actually do it. $60. So Intel's got the price advantage now, which I never thought I would see this in a million years. Like, when there was a point, people were right. When B450s were coming out, AMD did have a cheaper chipset. They had a slightly cheaper chipset, and they had cheaper motherboards. It looks like Intel's got the advantage now of cheaper motherboards than AMD. So, like, AMD, what are you doing? The motherboard prices are just exorbitant right now. So that's another factor when you're buying a CPU. How much is the motherboard? So, yeah, so that one's a bit of a long answer. Sorry, guys, we're going into long answers to these questions. You probably got... Sorry, I got to answer more questions. The I've been going on too much. But yeah, I think they made a big mistake. They should have released the 7800X3D alongside the 7950X3D. That was the... AMD should have done that straight away. They should have learnt from the 7000 launch already that they need to just give people what they want straight away. And they'll probably sell more 7950X3Ds anyway. Because now they got someone interested in the 7800X3D. And there's the more core option there. It's higher priced. Okay, I'll get that instead. So, anyway. Yeah, so... All right, guys, we're going to move on with some questions. Hi, all. Is 5950X worth upgrade from 3900X? You're asking the question. Nope. So, and that's my base case is if you're asking the question. Yeah, $125 plus inflation. Well, they announced, when did they announce the 7th? Someone's saying inflation. So, series announcement. We'll go back to when that announcement was. 29th of August. So we're going back, my man. We are doing. I don't do all the mainstream media economics here. I do just tech yes-onomics. Let's have a look. Since they announced the $125, we're gonna have a look at how the old school inflation measure is, which is for me is pretty much perfectly accurate with what's happening, right? You know, the scariest thing is, right? You go, here's, you know, in Australia as well, go get the Australian M2 money supply data and go line this up with house prices. Go, people like, oh, in the 1960s, houses were so cheap. In the 1980s, houses were so much cheaper than they are now. Go get this graph right here, M2 money supply, and correlate it to house prices, and you'll be shocked. You'll be absolutely shocked because they're pretty much correlated at very high rates. The M2 money supply goes up, house prices go up. M2 money supply goes down, house prices go down, which they only really happened in the Great Depression. That was the last time since the Fed's inception that house prices have like actually really tumbled properly and remained down. 2012 was the last down, but here we have here September. Let's go back to September. Okay, it was August 2022 announcement. We've had here actually deflation, my man. So yeah, 125 should actually be 120, roughly 120 now. So yeah, there's actually not inflation there. So AMD sort of pretty much put your hopes to rest there. So, but yeah, AMD lied. That's straight up, man. Where's the $125 B650s? That's what they said. I mean, so yeah, but at least the CPUs are coming down. Like the CPUs are coming down in price, but they really have to work on cheaper motherboards, man. And this is one thing, like, sorry guys, this will probably be like the last little bit before we get on out of here, but sorry, just where'd I go? Allergies are kicking hard today, brothers. And so before we go, this is the thing, right? I don't mind if companies did this. Let us know in chat. This is actually one thing I'm going to sort of close off this live stream about. Is I wouldn't mind if motherboard manufacturers made these cheaper motherboards and locked out support for the higher end CPUs. So say for instance, we've got an A320. Lock out support for Ryzen 9. I'm not going to, like, I don't know anyone who wants to use a Ryzen 9 with an A320 motherboard. Even lock out the Ryzen 7. Who cares? I would like it if they made these models, these cheaper models, and they say, look, these motherboards are only designed for your entry-level CPUs, right? So say, for instance, you want to get a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 5 7600X, and you want to get that latest IPC, but you don't want to pay stupid amounts of money for a motherboard. I'd love it if AMD just said, okay, we've got an A620 coming out. It's the A620B. It's basic, right? B stands for basic. A620 basic, cut down motherboard, only supports Ryzen 5 CPUs. It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Like, AMD, what are you doing? Get these options out there. Then you're selling more CPUs. The motherboard manufacturers can cut down the VRM, cut down everything. So you're just getting some, you know, instead of getting your chips in a fancy packet, you're just getting less chips on a really small tissue, you know? So there's your chips. Your chips are on the tissue now. And it's like you're saving money. People don't care. So you need these options. You need to have these options. I mean, Intel's, like, I'm surprised. Intel's allowing this to happen, right? Intel's allowing this to happen with some backyard brand for 62 bucks. Like, Intel's allowing, sorry guys, I mean, someone might be like defending Jingyu in the comments, like, bro, Jingyu's the best. I love Jingyu. It's like, dude, their BIOS was horrid. Like, it was 2010, if that. It was like, actually, BIOSes from 2010 are way easier to navigate than this thing. This BIOS was put together with the like, I think they probably just got some random dude off the street and paid him 10 bucks to make a BIOS. Some undergrad or something, some just guy fresh out of uni who's just finished his programming course. Here's $100, design us a BIOS. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, sure, I can do that. And so what we had was just this mess. But even then, Intel's allowing this cheap board to come out. And it works well, right? I'm sure, like, look how many of these sold already. 643 of them are already sold. That's heaps. So Jingyu is selling motherboards, right? Give us the cheap motherboards. Now, I wouldn't even be disappointed if Intel said to Jingyu, no i7, no i9. Do not allow these CPUs to work on this motherboard. Only this and this. I wouldn't care. Like, does anyone care? It's 62 bucks. It's, you know, it's getting people into 13th gen, getting them the latest and greatest. So I'm kind of surprised that AMD doesn't have the cheap motherboard. Like, just bring on the cheap motherboard. And even if you have to, lock out the higher end SKUs. Who cares? And there you go. So I never cheap out on motherboards. I want to keep it for more than 3 years. I mean, dude, cheaping out on motherboards is fine. You just got to match it. Like, don't put an i9 on a H610, basically. As long as you're matching, the cheap stuff's going to be fine. A lot of people, I see this every time, like, I sell a high-end build. People will be like, does it have a 1200 watt power supply? Does it have a 1000 watt power supply, bro? It's like, dude, it's got like an 850 watt gold in there, man. You're going to have no problems. Dude, I want 1000 watt. It's like, you don't need 1000 watt. Does it have the best motherboard? It's like, you don't need the best motherboard. You got a mid-range it's going to handle this CPU absolutely fine. I want the best. Like, well, it doesn't, like, so I think the motherboard manufacturers have done a good job with some of the marketing in that they think you need the best of the best, when really, like, I've had cheap motherboards last for years. Like, I remember building back in the day as well. Like, computers used to last. Like, I used to have my first build, I had that for like ages. And that was like cheap entry-level motherboard, lasted fine. So as long as you're not like putting the build on the carpet and blocking the airflow into the build, I think you should be fine. One thing is to keep up good airflow though. So if you do get a new build, make sure you got airflow in your case. That's the most important thing. A lot of the PCs that come to me that are faulty, and people are like, oh, hey, I heard you fix PCs when I was in Australia. Straight away, you just check and there'd be like no intake fan, no outtake fan. It was just like this sarcophagus. And so that's the biggest problem you'll come into with PC problems. But other than that, different strokes for different folks. I reckon this motherboard would hold up absolutely fine with an i5 13500 for 3 years, providing you put it in a decent case. But yeah, that was the last point I wanted to go over with you guys. So try the 1 and Z. Yeah, 1 and Z is not bad. They've still got that old school look to their BIOS, but yeah. So anyway, guys, that's about it. If you've got questions, that I always miss questions in the comments, so I do apologize if I missed some questions here today. But if you got questions, be sure to drop them after the stream. I'll try and answer them as best as I can. I do have to get going now and get I got to play some Pokemon with my boy, and we're going to get dinner sorted and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this long discussion about just various things after we talked about the 7950X 3D. And as always, do hit that like button as well, and be sure to comment as well. Helps your Tech Yes boy out on the algorithm. And I will catch you guys in another tech live stream very soon. Oh, so you guys, it's becoming the end of the stream. Sorry, I do have to get going soon. So, and I'm actually like, I can feel a sneeze building up, so I kind of want to go before I start allergy sneezing. So it's kind of like it's building up. So anyway, but yeah, really, guys, you got to donate. So Nori SS has a donation. Time to save money, Jufus style. Eat more beans from the can. Oh, yeah, that was Frame Chasers. That was brutal, man. I saw his introduction where he ate the baked beans just straight out of the can. Like, that man is a savage. I just, like, sorry, before we get on out of here, man, that guy, like, yeah, like, always put your baked beans in the microwave or cook them up in the pot. You know what I mean? Wow, that was savage. So anyway, guys, we'll catch you in the next live stream. Thanks for the donations, and thanks for tuning in and chatting, and also thanks for commenting and everything else, and thanks for ultimately watching Tech Yes. And pizza's out for now, so we'll peace out for now too. And did you know 7900 X3D is 4.4 gigahertz while the other two are 4.2 gigahertz? No, they okay. So last thing is those clock speeds. Sorry, last thing is with those clock speeds. They're just base guaranteed clock speeds. They're the speeds that they have to run at, even if you're in Abu Dhabi and you're out in the desert and you don't have aircon on. It's 40 degrees. They're the speeds they have to guarantee, right? So your 7950X and your 7900X3D, they're going to run at higher speeds than that pretty much all the time. So those speeds, just take them with a grain of salt. You're going to have your real world all core clocks, which in the case of the 7950X3D is 4.7-ish gigahertz on the 3D cache cores, and then the other ones go up to around 4.8 gigahertz, at least from my testing here. So anyway, I'll catch you guys in another one very soon, and peace out for now. Finally, we'll catch you in the next Tech Yes live stream, which will be coming very soon because I do have to do one more live stream. And we're going to be bending pins. So bending CPU pins live. So make sure you stay sub for that. People have asked us how I bend pins. So we're just going to do it live and get this CPU working. So hopefully we can do a good job of that quickly as possible. So make sure you stay tuned for that one and hit that like button. Stay tuned for the next live stream. We'll catch you guys. Thanks a lot. Peace out.